The only way to increase wages is to limit immigration. It's just basic economics. And I know these economists know this. Absolutely, absolutely. It's just basic supply and demand. Let's just say you're a roofer in Lewiston, Maine, all right? And there's a reason I'm saying Lewiston, Maine. Let's say they pay $10 an hour. Not a lot of competition for your job in Lewiston, Maine, all right? A lot of the natives, all right, have been sent to college because men have been told, go to college, get a degree. It'll increase your income. And that was true at one point. Absolutely true at one point. There's no debating this. Absolutely. If you had a college degree, you made more money than those who did not. You can still say the same today. The question is, it depends on what college degree you have. It's not as explicit as like, if you have a college degree, you're going to be worth more. It's just not like that anymore. So there's still some truth to this. But, and on top of that, don't forget, when people say college degree, the median salary for a guy with a college degree is $75,000. The median salary with a guy without a college degree is $45,000. And that's just a stupid way to look at it. And the reason for this is quite simple. College degree includes anesthesiologists, if I'm maybe seeing that right, rocket science doctors with PhDs in physics. I mean, people without a college degree is limited right here. The top is stopped if you don't have a college degree. People with a college degree includes not just your BA in sociology from freaking, the University of Wokeville, but includes all the other guys too. The skin doc, dermatologists, and all that stuff as well. All right, so you're using not just college degrees, but master's degrees and PhDs as well, law degrees. All right, so it's not a fair assessment. With that said, even if you just look at people with BAs, bachelor's degrees, they do make more money than people without. But then if you even narrow it down, or though you say, that's not really true for people with sociology degrees, people with education degrees compared to, electricians and whatnot. All right, so that makes sense. So now we say, okay, I'm just a roofer in Maine. There are not many blue collar men to do roofing in Maine. Supply is pretty limited, but the demand for our housing to peruse on as the population increases is still there. Thus, I can charge a decent wage to be a roofer because there's not that many of us. The demand hasn't dropped off. So what does Maine do? And all the evil economic textbook people, they say, let's flood Lewiston, Maine with Somalian immigrants. You're like, Somalian immigrants? Well, yeah, we're going to take them and we're going to put all these Somali immigrants into Lewiston, Maine. Why? That doesn't make any sense. No, it does make sense. Because now we have this input of a massive amount of Somali immigrants that don't have the educational skills to compete for economic professor jobs, but they certainly have the manual labor skill to compete for roofer jobs, all right? Because you don't have to have a degree in rocket science to put shingles on a roof. I'm not saying it's easy work. Far, far from it. Work I would never want to do. But it doesn't take a mathematician to do that. You just got to be willing to deal with the elements and get up there and bust your butt. So now all of a sudden the economics professors are free and clear because they don't have any competition. But that native roofer, who previously, the native guy in Maine, was able to charge a premium for his labor, is now competing with Somalian immigrants. And if he wants to keep his job, he's going to have to either reduce his prices or work a hell of a lot harder or compete some other way. At the end of the day, people are price conscious. That's just a fact. All the Buy American stuff, the reason it doesn't work, it hasn't up to this point, is people don't see a benefit of buying American, so they just buy Chinese. Guilty as charged. Now I'm starting to see the real deal behind the Buy American stuff. Now I'm starting to try to focus a little bit more on buying stuff that's not made in America. In fact, I read, I don't know this, I do think this is true. If you look at the barcode on a product, I think it starts with if it starts with 041 to 099 or something like that, it's made in America. I think it starts 6 to 641 is made in China. Look that up, look up the barcode. The first three numbers indicate the country of origin or something like that. It's very interesting. I did not know that. So do yourself a favor and try to buy the ones made in America, not in China. All right, so we know now the labor supply, the increased labor supply reduces wages for roofers. So much so, as a matter of fact, that most native roofers will go out of business because they just can't afford living in America and the cost of living that we have and the lifestyle they're accustomed to being a roofer, competing with Somalian roofers. And by the way, a white roofer in a Somalian-oriented business isn't going to last very long, feel very comfortable in his own country. He says, I'm just going to throw up my hands, I'll do something else. I don't even know if Somalians are workers, labor, Somalian, are they doing roofing or not? I don't know, but that's what happens. So now all of a sudden roofing costs have gone way down for labor because we have all these immigrants. So how do you allow roofers to make their money again? Oh, you eliminate the Somalian immigration. You say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to make sure that we're not have unfettered immigration to drop down wages. The interesting thing is the economic professors, they seem to overlook is same thing can happen to their areas. We had an economic professor when I was at George Mason, a nice guy, I think his name Dr. Chen from China, hardly could understand a word, a very nice guy. He hated the communists, hardly could understand a word he said because he was Chinese. And he was over here teaching economics, economic professor, because a lot of the professors and colleges don't want to teach. You know, they want to offload that to people like Dr. Chen, who came from China, probably making $60,000 a year. He said, dude, $60,000 a year in the United States is a hell of a lot better than $20,000 a year in China. So he's freaking loving life. And as such, but what did he do? He took a job from a Native American, not American Indian necessarily, but a Native American who would have done that job, but he's not going to do it for $60,000 a year. Because Dr. Chen, who can't hardly speak English very well, that you can understand, while a nice guy and very smart, he says, I'll do it because basically my living experience in China was nothing. So now I'm living large at $60,000 a year. And in China, wasn't living that large. And yet, Josh Scanlon, for instance, we'll just use that for an example. If I had my PhD, I said, I can't afford to live on $60,000 a year as a PhD with all the debt I have accumulated for my economics degree. I can't do that. So I'm not going to be able to compete. And that's what the idiot and economic professors don't understand, is that if they can take the job of roofers, they can certainly take the job of economic professors. Where it gets even interesting, though, is not just immigrants, but it's robots and AI, all right? I mean, at some point, you know, I talk about going to LegalZoom.com for a basic will. We call them I love you will. You know, I leave everything to Charlotte. Charlotte leaves everything to me. It goes to our kids 25% across the board. Pretty simple stuff there, nothing fancy. Now, I used a person, Allison, here in Roswell, Georgia, to do my will. I used a person, Aaron, when we lived in Harrisonburg, Virginia, to do my will and stuff for my wife and me, because I want a real person to guide me through that. It costs a hell of a lot more money than LegalZoom.com, all right? But for every time someone clicks on LegalZoom.com, there's one less person using Allison or Aaron to do the wills and what. I would never use living trust. If I'm doing a living trust, I'd never do through LegalZoom.com. But anyway, the point being is that's another increase in labor in terms of supply that's going to lower the cost. And at the end of the day, not much you can do about that AI. I mean, it's coming. It's not just going to come for low-level jobs, writing up wills and stuff. It's going to come from many things other than that. But there's certainly things you can do for the blue-collar jobs that America has, for some reason, forlorn for so many years. Like, oh, no, we don't want to be doing that. You know, we don't want to be roofing. We don't want to be freaking, being a lineman, even though linemen get paid big bucks. Why? Because immigrants aren't taking over those jobs yet. You want to reduce the labor costs for linemen? Well, freaking immigrants come in. Next thing you know, you're going to have less labor costs for linemen. The natives won't be able to afford it. The immigrants will come in, and then you're screwed. There's no more American labor that can do linemen. Oh, some cities are actually allowing non-U.S. citizens to be their police force. Interesting. And what do you think a non-U.S. citizen as a cop demands for a salary compared to a U.S. citizen? Yeah, this is where the immigrant stuff has gone nuts, dude. And if you want to come here and crush, I love it. I love it. But you should come here and crush to make sure you are serving the needs of the host country. Just in Walmart the other day, I was amazed how many Indians are now working in Walmart. Dude, trust me. It's a much better shopping experience for those Indians working there than the previous people, if you know what I'm saying. Much better shopping experience. Are they doing it for more money or less money than the previous people? Less money. And they're showing up to work. They probably don't call in sick, the whole thing. And they're friendly, they're helpful. Whereas the previous employees, if you know what I'm saying, weren't like that at all. So that did benefit me because A, the labor costs are lower, the cost of goods are cheaper, and they're a more pleasant shopping experience. So you can make a case that in any field, we need immigrants because not only is the cost to go down, but on top of that, the pleasant of the experience, the roofing or something like that, the quality is going to go up. But just because the costs go down, it should not be everything. It should be another issue too. How does it benefit Americans that are already here? And this immigrants as well as native born, do we benefit from this mass increase in immigration or not? If the answer is we only benefit from cheaper costs, that's not enough anymore, dude. Not enough when we have our country filled with immigrants, legal and illegal. We got to say, does it benefit us in other ways as well? If it doesn't, you say no more. No more vacancy. If it does, hey man, more power to you. You want to come here and crush? I freaking love it. But there's got to be a benefit to the host country other than just it costs less to put a roof on my house. All right. That's how you increase wages. Pretty simple. You restrict employee. You restrict the number of employees competing for jobs. But Americans won't do it. Okay, dude, that's so freaking, I hear that all the time. Like, huh? Do you not know who's putting these cars together in Georgetown, Kentucky? Are the immigrants or the Americans? Do you not, believe it or not, I know it's crazy, but there are people who do landscaping who are white, all right, who are black, who are Native Americans. I know it's crazy to think, but there are people who do that. And if you want to go back to the Bracero times, which I'm fine with, you say, hey, we're going to let these people from Jamaica go up to Maine and pick the apples in the fall. Then they send them back to Jamaica. It's a win-win. The people from Jamaica come up here, pick the apples. When the apple season's done, we send them back. No problem with that at all. Same thing with strawberry picking in Maine. I did some strawberry picking in the summer times in Maine. Cambodians would come up here, blow me away in terms of their efficiency and how fast they did it. Let them come up here and freaking pick. I got no problem with that. They should not be immigrants. They should not be citizens necessarily, though. Screw that, man. I say, no, you can come here and pick and labor and use all your money to spend back to Cambodia all day long, but you're not inherently going to be a citizen. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, love your thoughts. God bless. We'll see you.